Dave Erasmus. Dave, can you introduce yourself? We're at the Mobile Web Africa 2011 conference, and you spoke yesterday.
Yeah.
And just going to chat a bit about your talk.
Fantastic, yeah. Yeah, so from the UK, originally born in Johannesburg, but lived there most of my life, and done a number of things, been in startups for the last 7 years. But about 2 years ago, we launched a mobile business incubator called Cubate, and trying to understand the shift that's happening towards mobile, social, local, and the data that's being created from that. And we've created 3 businesses from that, one of which is called Givey, which is a social donation platform to allow you to give to whatever charity you want, however you want, whenever you want. And I'm now the CEO of that and driving that forward. So, yeah, so it's great to be here.
Excellent. So you chatted yesterday about a push-pull diagram and theory that you have regarding the mobile consumer. Now, do you want to just elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah, sure. I mean, recently there's been a lot of talk about Web 3 potentially. We've been in Web 2.0 for a while, and some people are saying, is it Web 3.0 now, this data economy? But I think the truth is, when the web first came out, we could pull content down, and then the creators of that content were able to analyze, if they had the right tools in place, to see how many times, just volume and simple basic statistics, how many times has this been viewed or downloaded or whatever. Then when Web 2 came along and we could actually post content up to the web as well, comments and responses to blogs or even personal data through things like Facebook since about 2003, what that allowed is a lot more data to be created around the habits and interests of those using and engaging with your content, and so that really improved the amount of insight we could draw from the content that you post into the web, which is great. Now, like some of the other speakers were saying yesterday, like Mark Smith, saying we can draw great insights from that and we can analyze that, we can put it into your Dropbox, create big PDFs, nice graphs, see the structure of the relationships, not just the volume. And that's fantastic. But I think going forward now, looking into the future, the businesses that are likely to be the most successful or take advantage the most of the opportunity, the data opportunity, are those that actually build business processes around the data that the consumer is chucking off to them. And what I mean by that is, every time I interact with your brand and your content, I am presenting you with more data about myself. And if you create business processes to allow that data to go back in to reform and make more dynamic the experience with your brand, then I'm going to continue to get this relational, improving, deepening feeling and connection with your brand. And you can see some brands doing that already, like if you look at iTunes and the recommendation engine, but it's one small module. We'll begin to see businesses that are purely focused around this virtuous cycle of data collection and reintroducing it into the circle to keep improving the dynamic interaction.
Okay, that's very interesting. So how do we get brands to start participating more and engaging with their consumer via mobile and social media?
Well, I think that's exactly the problem. I mean, even Tommy was talking this morning about how Coca-Cola introduced SMS payments in Finland, and it increased the revenues from that vending machine by 15%. 7 years later, they still haven't implemented it in another territory. So if Coca-Cola are having those problems when it's even proven in one territory to another, it's not surprising that other brands are finding it hard to adopt and introduce new mobile marketing strategies that are already proven. But having said that, I think the key is helping. I think the issue is bigger. The issue is this whole paradigm shift and understanding. So if you're speaking to decision makers and they don't even have they don't even use their phone for anything other than calling or texting, you're always going to struggle for them to see the value, because whilst they look at the statistics and they hear the consultants, at the end of the day we think in the world first person, and we look, would I use that or would I do that? Now what we have to do is show the case studies, show where all the stats are pointing towards the mobile consumer, but actually help brands understand and decouple themselves from the platforms that they've been used to delivering their experiences to their consumers on. Only once you've been able to help the brand decouple themselves and understand that the traditional platform through which they've engaged with their customer is only one of the number of touch points now that they need to engage with them on, then that's the platform you've built in conversation to then introduce a new touch point like mobile marketing, mobile payments, those kinds of things, mobile coupons, vouchering. Until you've had the higher level conversation, I think your voice will always fall on dead ears.
Exactly. I think what brands or agencies need to really understand is that it's integrating it all together and not having it as a standalone.
Yeah. I mean, the other concept I've been talking about is the need to empower a heretic, probably a young technologically savvy person within your business to draw on a piece of paper, your brand and your customer in a circle and rethink what it is to engage with them and to monetize that relationship. And unless you're doing that, you're probably going to be using old thinking on new platforms.
Yeah, I think it is the change for everyone, and even us in our mobile companies, to try and see how we can integrate the new thinking in. I think what we've been trying to do is adjust the old thinking and trying to find ways of how to communicate what we mean, because we all understand each other. That's great, but we're really trying to get brands to understand us more.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at when TV first came out, all they did was took the radio presenters and put them in front of a camera. So that there was no understanding of the paradigm shift or the new medium. It was just doing what they always knew, but with an additional method to convey that information, which is stupid when we look back now, 30 years or whatever it's been that TV's been around, before my time anyway. And you can see that's stupid, but that's exactly what's happening in mobile now. People using web thinking and sometimes web 1 thinking in this completely dynamic, data-centric platform, which is the mobile platform.
Yeah, I think what happens in South Africa is people are just focusing either on smartphones, but we do realize that you have USSD, SMS, smartphone, and that's just speaking across spectrum. So mobile actually allows you to communicate with your consumer via so many different channels, instead of just getting stuck on one. Like we just need to keep that spectrum open.
Absolutely. I mean, what was exciting was yesterday sitting on the panel with Alan from Mixit and seeing how they're installed on 44 million devices. They've got 11 million active users, and he was talking about the surveying, and not the surveying, the petition. They were looking to get engagement to put Table Mountain as one of the wonders of the world, and he said he got something like 1.6 million. I think he got 1.6 million responses
votes,
in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah, votes in 2 weeks.
Driving the votes.
I mean, that is a huge amount of engagement, from an otherwise untapped market. So I think especially with a UK kind of experience and perspective, it's easy just to think about the smartphone market, as the only interesting market, but it's exciting to be pulled in that direction and see that actually at the lower end on the feature phone side, that actually there's still serious engagement to be had. With his mullah as well, they're seeing, trying to drive it as a wallet, as a currency that's used elsewhere, not just on the platform. It's very exciting. And I think, as Tommy was talking about today, there's a convergence. Every single market is moving into mobile, and people from one side are snapping up other people's markets. So Nokia snapping up the camera market when they're really a mobile phone, producer. It's all coming into the center, and actually all that's left in that center is brands. That's the most important thing, is what is your brand built around? If somebody buys into your brand, what is it that they are trying to buy into for their own identity? For example, I wouldn't set up a company at the moment that was trying to be the premium technology guys, because I don't want to fight Apple on that front, because yes, technologically and product-wise they're fantastic, but their brand, the way they've cornered that part of the technology market is phenomenal. They can produce whatever product they want if it continues to be at the same standard, and people will buy it because it's a lifestyle. So that is not a brand that I'm going to try and fight with. Yeah. I think as the convergence continues, brand is the only thing that matters.
Yeah, but ideally Apple has created a community.
Correct, yeah.
And a following, and that's where brands and where the market I see is going, is to build those niche communities and manage them and look after them and give them the information they want.
Yeah, as Tommy was talking about it, the volume, we're moving past the days of just looking at volume of Twitter followers or volume of traffic to a site. It's not about just creating a hub where all of the individuals, the isolates that communicate just to you. The power of a brand exists when you get them to talk to each other, when you create social networks, social interactions, and they're empowered to go and be advocates for your brand and interrelate. They won't leave you if all their friends are there. They will leave you if it's only you and them that's in relationship. If somebody else comes along that's quicker, cheaper, faster, they're gone. But if their friends are there and it's a hub, a home, a sticky place, they'll be with you for life. Exactly,
and that's also what Alan said with Mixit. There are still people that have their Blackberries and doing BBM and have the Mixit application because their friends are still on Mixit.
Yeah.
And they want to stay connected.
Absolutely.
And that's offering, the consumer the right product at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, create a sticky home where your friends are, a fun place to be, like the nice pub that you always go to that has the right music and the right beers, and it doesn't matter whether they increase the price of the beers or not, you'll always be there.
Exactly. We're so passionate at this conference and we're all telling each other how great mobile is, but how do we get that passion across to brands?
Yeah, I mean, this is a big issue I've been facing internally for the last sort of 3 to 6 months, which is within the charity space, because Givey that I'm now running operates primarily with, we've got about 6,000 charities in the UK, about 20,000 that are ready to go in partnership with a charitable database umbrella that we're working with. But the challenge is that I get invited to speak at the conferences and they want to hear roughly the soft side of where I think we're moving as a charitable space, especially in the UK, and how mobile social plays into the giving and philanthropy space. But the problem actually comes there's a gap between me speaking on a stage and them finding it engaging, hopefully, and at least, and they do appreciate what I'm saying because they keep asking me to keep coming back and back. But actually in terms of getting tangible stuff put into the business plans for these charities and how to actually see it as a tangible and necessary marketing strategy, it's very hard. And what we've had to do is my operations manager, Joe, he speaks the same language as the charities. He comes from the charity space. He's one of them, and he's not this outsider like I am. They sort of don't really know what to do with all the energy and the kind of language that I use. They appreciate it, but they don't really know what to do with it. So what we found is that we've had to keep me away from the charities, let me talk on the stages every now and again and shout some messages out, but really when it comes to traction and getting stuff actually done, you need someone that talks their language, that's come from that side, and they can actually feel like it's a bit more, it's easier for them to grasp and easier for them to implement. And we're having much better results in our relationships with the charities now in terms of getting them to actually do stuff. So yeah, so it might be that for some of the other mobile guys here, whilst they're passionate and they know their stuff and they're banging their heads on the wall trying to get brands to adopt the stuff they're talking about, maybe they need to partner with somebody that's has come from the brand side or understands the internal complications within bigger organizations and can actually kind of be the stealthy guy that kind of actually gets stuff done.
Absolutely, because I think we're passionate about the technology and what can happen, and we get lost in that. And we all understand each other, but finding it hard to be understood.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think the name of the game is partnership, partnering with somebody that understands the brand side, that isn't necessarily historically a mobile specialist, but somebody receptive to it that can merge the brand internal messages and the mobile messages and get stuff done.
Thanks, Dave. It was great chatting to you, and hope you continue to enjoy your stay in South Africa and travel back home safely.
Yeah, thanks so much. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Okay.